Communication skills are referenced in every single DevOps job posting there is. And I'm willing to bet you probably just glossed over that section, and in doing so, you might have skipped over the most important part of the entire job description. You might have just sealed your fate as to whether or not you're going to land that job. The secret to effective communication is asking questions. It's almost like a superpower. So in this video, I'm going to teach you how to unleash your superpower by showing you which questions to ask. So stick around because it may not be what you think. Hey, what's up? I'm Will from DevOps for Developers, and on this channel, I talk about all things DevOps, from getting your first DevOps job to integrating DevOps throughout your entire organization. Your communication skills can make or break you in the job interview. Your goal is to understand where the interviewer is coming from. So let me give you an example. A lot of my background is in startups. The way that I interview and the things that I ask reflect that, because in startup life, like your first job in launching a startup is to get someone to give you money for your product. Your second job is to figure out what the difference between what you sold them and what they thought they were buying was, and then close that gap down. As a result, infrastructure tends to change a lot in early stage startups, and the solutions I implement reflect that. Now, if you're interviewing with someone or with a company that's been around for decades, they've probably got a pretty standardized view of what their infrastructure looks like and what their needs and desires are. And so depending on who you're interviewing with, the interview can go different direction. This comes full circle in the interview because at some point during the interview, you're going to be asked to solve a particular problem. Your approach needs to reflect the wants, needs, and desires of that particular interviewer. But the only way you can do that is if you've discovered what those are. The discovery process comes in the form of asking questions. Now, this applies not only to the interview, but throughout your entire DevOps career. Imagine if someone comes and asks you to build an EC2 instance, and seems pretty straightforward, so you do. And then later they come back complaining that they can't launch their Docker containers on that instance. Well, they didn't ask for Docker, right? So part of that is their fault for not giving you the full requirements, but part of that responsibility falls upon you as well for not digging in and uncovering what their true needs were. And of those two areas of responsibility, there's only one that you get control of. The tricky part here is all of us think that we're great communicators. We think that we put the time and the effort in, and everything that we communicate is very clear and very well articulated. The truth of it is that we all actually suck at communication really, really badly. It's important to remember that the end result of communication is what the person that you're speaking to heard, not what you said. So to become a better communicator, you need to learn to ask questions, and you don't have to ask deep, thought-provoking, psychological questions or have any in-depth knowledge. The only thing you actually really need to do is just repeat their last 3 or 4 words to them, phrased as a question. In addition to that, you can break up your questions by labeling their statements. Let me give you an example of how this works. Imagine that you're asked to build an EC2 instance. So someone comes up and says, hey, we need you to build an EC2 instance in AWS. Your response is going to be, build an EC2 instance? And they'll say, yeah, we need a new EC2 instance for the new service we're launching. Again, you're just going to rephrase their last 3 or 4 words and say, the new service you're launching. They'll say, yeah, the new service that's handling all the billing transactions. And so here you can break it up a little bit and just label their statement instead of asking another question, and say something like, oh, the billing transactions, well, that sounds pretty important. And then they'll say, well, yeah, it's super important. That's why we want to make sure that we're running it on Docker containers with high availability. And just like that, you've asked enough questions to get them to elaborate so that you discovered what the real requirements are versus the requirements that they thought they gave you. Now, this is going to feel a little bit uncomfortable at first, but stick with it. You'll get used to it. And one of the things that you may think happen is that someone's going to call you out on it and just say, what the hell, dude? Are you just mocking me? And in reality, that never really happens. For a couple of reasons. One, because you're not mocking them. You're just giving them the the freedom and the leeway to elaborate, which ties in perfectly with most humans' reactions of loving to talk. So you're just opening the floor up to them and taking notes until you discover the information that you really need to get to work. So I've actually tested this multiple times, and I've held conversations up to like half an hour where I didn't really contribute anything of value. The only thing I did was mirror their statements back to them as questions and then label some statements to make sure that I understood what they were saying. And then in several instances, I've actually followed up with those people, and they've commented on how it was like we were twins separated at birth because we communicated so well together. In the end, I ended up building exactly what they wanted the first time. For what it's worth, this technique also works in other areas of your life, whether you're talking with your team lead, your manager, your spouse, or just trying to get a charge credited off of your credit card statement. All right, I hope you found that helpful. If you did, be sure and leave me a note in the comments down below, and also check out some of the other videos in this playlist where I break down all of the common skills required for DevOps jobs in 2021 and how to best interview for them. I'll see y'all in the next video.